Welcome to the OpenMEAP installation tutorial. I'm going to guide you through how to install OpenMEAP using Eclipse as well as building clients. So the first thing I like to do is go through the requirements and actually download all the software that you need to have. And I created a development directory under my C drive that is the location of where I installed everything. Once you've downloaded everything into your folder, you're going to set your path and environment variables. The easiest way to do that is to go to My Computer, Advanced System Settings, Environment Variables. From here you go ahead and add a new path for development, Apache for Ant Home, as well as Java Home, as well as OpenMEAP Home, and of course adding Java Home and Ant Home to your system variables. To test out and see if they work, just type ant-v and it's installed. If you have any issues, you can always look at the Ant website for common issues installing Ant, or one of the common issues that we found is that sometimes tools.jar is not located. So you need to actually copy it from the JRE7 lib folder to your JDK lib folder under your program files Java directory. Now, we downloaded Eclipse already, so we're going to go ahead and open Eclipse. And you're going to want to install all of these plugins, the Ivy plugin for Eclipse, ADT, Google, and BlackBerry. So here you go to Help, Install New Software. And this is where you would add the URLs that we provided in order to download Ivy, for instance. We would download the Ivy Eclipse plugins. I've already downloaded these, so we don't actually have to go through this step, but that's how you actually install these plugins. Once you're done with the plugins, we already downloaded Tomcat Apache, you set your environment variables. And here you go into OpenMEAP, Build Tools, Scripts, and then set m.bat for Windows. And you know if you're installing this on a Mac or Linux, you're going to use .sh. So let's edit this file. Make sure everything points to your correct path of where you downloaded everything. Once you're done here, the next step is to actually start building the local dev environment. So what we're going to do is we're going to go to our development OpenMEAP build tools directory, and we're going to go ahead and run this script right here from this directory, build tools. Now the first thing we're going to run is all of the web properties here, and this is going to actually set up everything for the admin interface and preparing to import into Eclipse. Once that's done, we're going to go ahead and publish the local shared JDK5. Then we're going to do local Slick Core, which is our backbone for our clients. And then, last but not least, local shared. Okay. So the next step is now creating and building your clients. So you need to create a new directory that's not in the OpenMEAP software folder. I created it outside, called OMSlick. And what you're going to want to do is you want to copy the client properties template over from the build tools directory, and you're going to want to edit that. And you're going to want to edit this and name everything the way you want to name it. So it's an OpenMEAP project. My title of my app is going to say test. This is the URL that I'm going to be using so the client can talk on the server. This is so I can get updates back and forth from the server. If you want to do client-side only development, set that to false. This is the text under the icon. This is pointing to the assets folder, which is the next step here. And of course you want to actually have this go into your OM Slick folder. Test app iOS, test app Android, and test app BlackBerry. Alright, since that's all set up the right way, the next step is to go and create an assets directory. Now once you create the assets directory, you're going to want to go ahead and copy everything from this directory. It's the sample. It's a sample application that you don't have to worry about doing your own for the first time. You can just go ahead and copy that into your assets folder, and you'll be done with that step. So once you're done creating this, you can go back to building your clients. So now let's go to the directory we created, and we're gonna have to run the set your environment again. And now you're ready to actually build your clients. So the first one we're going to do is Android. Oops. Assuming that we're in Windows, I need to change this to .bat. Alright, that's done. Now we're going to actually build and debug. And that will complete our client, our Android client. We'll go ahead and just build the BlackBerry clients too, since we're here. And build the bug as well. Alright, now we've built our Android app and our BlackBerry app. So now the next step is actually importing and getting your stuff prepared for Eclipse. So the first thing you're going to do is you're going to import build tools. Build tools. Alright, and then the next step you're going to actually set up all your settings. So you want to go to Preferences. First one you're going to want to do is your Ivy. Make sure you have this pointed correctly. So you want to click Workspace, Build Tools, your Ivy settings, and you do the exact same thing for Properties. After that's complete, the next step you go is to Ant Runtime. You make sure your properties, you have these three settings for Android SDK, your BlackBerry SDK, and the OpenMEAP home set. After that, go down to Server, go down to Runtime Environments, and make sure you add your correct runtime environment. If it's Tomcat 6, then put that there. If it's Tomcat 7, you can use that as well. Once these three items are done, you go to Project, and it's usually checked by default. Uncheck it, and then we'll go to the Tomcat runtime environment. So now we're going to go ahead and set up permissions for Tomcat, which are located in the Tomcat folder under Config, Tomcat Users. Now there's a sample up here of what we use just as a standard, but it's easy just to go ahead and copy and just paste that under the samples that Tomcat comes with, just to get you started. And of course you can modify this to work with LDAP, as well as add multiple users. Admin users can do deployments, as well as upload projects and bundles too. And the users can only upload and view; they can't actually do deployments. All right, once that's complete, we're going to go ahead and start importing our projects. The first ones we're going to do all three of the shared first, shared, shared JDK, and shared server-side. Now, it's going to resolve all these dependencies, of course, so you just be patient. So we're going to go ahead and build OpenMEAP shared, OpenMEAP shared JDK. And then what you're going to want to do with shared server-side is you're actually going to want to go into the build path just to verify that your runtime, your server, is actually what you have it set to. So if it's 6, you need to change it to 7 because I'm using 7. By default, I think we're using 6, but you do install 7. Just make sure you change that there or it won't build. The next step is actually importing your admin interface. And again, you're going to want to go in here and make sure you have the build path. You're going to want to make sure that you actually have the right version of Tomcat selected, just like we talked about in the shared service side, which I know I do. So I'm going to go ahead and build services and build admin. Now I'm going to go ahead and import the client side. Which is OpenMEAP Slick Core, BlackBerry, and Slick Android. Slick Android test and Slick Android or Slick BlackBerry tests are just some stuff that you can play around with, but the main ones are just these 3. First thing we're going to want to do is just go ahead and build OpenMEAP Slick Core, build OpenMEAP Slick Android, and then you're going to want to go into BlackBerry and go to the build path and configure the build path. Here you're going to have to make sure that your environment matches up to what's stated right here. If not, you need to change it. Under the projects, make sure that you add these 3 projects to run with build path. That's shared JDK5, and Slick Core. Under the libraries, make sure you add an external jar, which is the NetRim API jar, which is needed for BlackBerry. Once you have all that done, you should be able to go ahead and build BlackBerry. So after all that's complete, no warnings. There's warnings, but there's no issues. We're going to go to servers and add our server, which is our Tomcat 7. These are the WAR files that we just deployed. And voila. So we're going to go ahead and start this. And we're going to use our password, which is just admin OpenMEAP. Unless you changed it, then use that. First thing you want to do is go to settings. Make sure you have all of this set up correctly. Right now, since we're just doing a local development environment, we can just use localhost, localhost. The storage path for your apps, of course, in a production environment, you would have this mapped differently. Right now, we just have it in the temp folder in apps. So every time we upload different versions of applications, that's where they're stored. So once you're done with that, we can go ahead and import what we built. So right now I'm just going to go ahead and import the Android project we created. Which is under this Slick folder called Test App Android. All right. So let's go ahead and just double check here real quick. Go to build path, configure build path, under Android, make sure that we have the library checked off, make sure you have your build API checked off. All right. Now a common issue, we're going to go ahead and build this, is that under OpenMEAP Slick Android under libs, we have 3 jar files that were created during the command line build process. Since OpenMEAP was developed command line first, this is something you have to do to get it working in Eclipse. You just basically remove those. Once you remove those, go ahead and build again, and then go ahead and debug as an Android application. This will bring up your simulator, unless you have a device attached, of course, but I don't, so I'm going to use the simulator. I'm going to use this simulator here. If you have any questions, please feel free to create an account at forum.openmeap.com. Visit the wiki for tips and tricks and common gotchas. But as you can see, it's very straightforward, very easy to get client and server environment set up in under 20 minutes. And if we did everything right and we followed the directions, this is exactly what you should see. There's the test. You should see the OpenMEAP. Also, if you exit the application, you should also be able to see the icon, which is the default icon, of test, which is what we named in the client properties file as well. This concludes the installation overview. If you have any questions, please feel free to reach out under the forum. Thank you very much.